Hi, everyone. Welcome. See people joining. Welcome to the session today. Nice to meet you all. I'm Kelly from the GTM team at Leapsome, and I'm super glad that I'm joined by Siddhartha Nuka, the head of finance and operations at SQUAKE today. I'm joining from Berlin right now. Sid, how about you? Where are you joining from?
I'm based in Berlin as well. Hello, Kelly. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
Nice. And as you're joining, everyone, feel free to also pop your name, do a little intro. What is your role? Where you're joining from as well? So we would love to see a bit of engagement from your side as well. So let's give just a few more seconds for the folks joining us. And for all the audience today along the way, feel free to share your thoughts on our discussion or any questions that comes up. Just keep the conversation going. We might not be able to answer all the questions live in the chat. Our team is closely monitoring that, but at the same time, we will try to follow up as much as possible after the session to make sure if you have any outstanding questions, we're going to get back to you afterwards. All right. Seeing more people joining, that's awesome. Also kind of setting the scene for today, right? Today's session about the HRIS, and I know Sid very eager to talk to a real customer today to learn from your journey. Not sure if the audience you have noticed that or heard about that. We're also very proud today that we officially launched our HRIS also in North America. So our co-founder Jenny already announced it earlier today. So even with that being said, just want to make sure you all know that this is not like a product demo thing, but rather a real conversation with one of our customers who has successfully implemented Leapsome's HRIS, and with it to really look at how SQUAKE has come through this journey. I really would love to hear more like real challenges that you face. Feel free to also bring up, what are the challenges maybe at the beginning with the product as well, and then how to make these decisions of coming to Leapsome and any lessons learned. I would really like to take into your special superpower because you're from the finance and ops team, maybe a bit different from the audience, but then definitely we would like to hear from that angle some tips from you as well. How does it sound?
All good. Looking forward to our chat. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Awesome. And also for the audience to kind of set the frame of our mind today, Sid's company is relatively small company with very limited resources. So I think this will be a good opportunity if you resonate with this challenge as well, how to make an HRI setup that would work with very limited resources, but also thinking about a step further, how to empower your managers and also your teams to actually own and drive those, day-to-day HR admin tasks as well. So maybe Sid, let's just start from the very beginning, right? What did your HRI setup look like before you picked Leapsome? And what kind of challenges were you facing that triggered you to think about maybe it's time to have a change?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I give a short introduction so there is a nice context that everyone can understand to my answer. So yeah, first of all, happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. Happy to meet so many people as well. Hopefully, I can share a few tips and tricks and wisdom that we learned along the very nice journey with Leapsome. So yeah, as Kelly, as you mentioned. I am looking at finance and operations at SQUAKE. We are an early stage company scaling up, and we help corporates travel more sustainably. So looking at their business travel emissions, and we are a climate tech startup based in Berlin, as is typical with a company of our size. So going from an early stage into more scaling operations motion, we had a HRIS solution which was set up. Back in the day, let's put it this way. So we were using Personio, and this was set up when we were maybe about 5 to 6 people, and already more than 2 years ago. So the setup was done in a very enterprisey way. Let's put it this way. It was over engineered with many workflows, many automations, many different access right levels, and it got to a point where we were struggling with even some basic tasks that we wanted to do, like I don't know, like changing the manager of a employee, changing how vacations are calculated for the next year, and so on. And we realized that we were spending way too much time in just executing the task and not focusing on people, and B, we wanted to take the next step. As we grew, we wanted to have a unified way of performance management within the company, so reviews within the company, which was at that point only with the managers, and they were, let's say, freestyling it. And we wanted to come with a little bit more structure for the company as we grew. So yeah, long story short, we wanted something simple. We wanted something straightforward, something we can, let's say we could mark a new chapter for the company with. And we asked a bit to our friends of SQUAKE, and we heard good things about Leapsome, and that's how we ended up with you.
Oh, nice. Some referral getting in there. But yeah, I love that you brought up this, actually a very good reality, right? Sometimes some HRIS, the way that it was designed, probably also very admin back-end heavy, that it might feel a bit, can be a bit over-engineering, especially for a company that is relatively small, and especially, I mean, from your case, even that you have to handle this without, like extensive HR admin experience. So I'm happy that considering also wanting to have this review and performance management standardized, you kind of picked Leapsome kind of as the solution that can hopefully support you for both. I just wonder, when you were exploring different options, what kind of features or what aspects of the Leapsome HRIS really stood out to you that you felt, oh, that's really different, I want to give it a try?
Yeah, good question. So our previous setup was with Personio, sorry, and it felt like that tool was more focused on, let's say, larger companies with multiple legal entities, and so whereas we wanted something that helped us in our growth from, let's say, a company of 20 people to about 50 people. So that is the journey that we were looking at. And the simple UI or UX of Leaps, let's say the modern look, the first time we saw it, our first impression was, okay, the team will enjoy using the tool. It's intuitive. We don't need to do too much onboarding, etc. Yeah, so that was the first nice feeling. Then obviously when we did a bit more deep dive, I give you an example. We had some problems with absence management, so vacations, etc., in our previous tool, and in Leapsome it just worked from day one. It was easy to input, it was easy to approve, it was easy to look at when others are on holidays, so it just worked. And then I guess what was like the absolute green flag for us, we would have started something new in the team, so with reviews, which means a lot of change management needed to be done, and we were looking to start it with a little bit of, you can say, wow effect, where people were excited in some way to be part of this change. And we really like that with Leapsome you could be flexible, so we could really have something very simple to start with, something nice, which even the managers enjoyed, you can say it like that, to use. And obviously one key decision for us, that what happens to our old data, and we realized very quickly that transitioning from the old system to the new system was not as much of a big deal as we had imagined. So yeah, it was a smooth start.
I love that you mentioned already, like, many different aspects when an HR team or decision maker have to consider when they move a tool. But I really love that you brought up the wow effect. And honestly, at the end, it's not just the admin using a tool, right? It's your managers, your employees. If they see a platform that looks like, oh, they actually would love to use it, it feels very different compared to, oh, I just have to do this admin task on this platform. I remember also a lot of customers share, for example, they can immediately use it for meetings, or this like praise, you can give praise. So also some positive emotions that you kind of associate with the tool. So I'm really happy to hear that you also saw that when you kind of exploring the options. And you also briefly mentioned this around the ease for onboarding, for, if it's an intuitive tool, then, the managers can quickly pick it up, so to say. So what do you think about the onboarding journey with the Leapsome HRIS? So, you mentioned that transitioning seems easier than what you expected, but anything else that kind of surprised you? Just share your experience with us.
Yeah. I think I can highlight two small points here. So first of all, the structure for the onboarding was really smooth to start with. I mean, I can only give a small shout out here to Clemence, who helped us at every step. Yeah, so what we really liked is we had a week by week plan of what are the different steps of implementing the tool, and we took some time right at the beginning to go through every step and to align where we meaning the organization, expect some additional support from Leapsome in terms of, hey, we expect some messy data here, or we expect to do something a little bit in a different way here. And we really then aligned, okay, this week we focus on this, then this week, etc. And we had very clear expectations that, okay, at the end of I forget now, I think week 4 or so, we should have reached this point.
Mm.
So the plan was very crystal clear right from the beginning, and I think this helped us drive change internally as clearly, as transparently as well. And then the second highlight was the feedback loop. And what I mean by this is, I remember on the first call of onboarding, we mentioned that we use this Google Calendar, like a shared Google Calendar,
Mm.
to have everyone's vacations in a nice way on our internal calendar, easily accessible, easily visible. And before the next call, we see that Leapsome has a new little product feature where you can have a Google Calendar link out, and you can put it on your own calendar. I mean, this was something new, but obviously we faced some smaller bugs here and there. Clicking somewhere didn't make sense, and every time it got solved by the product team, to the point that I think I was in touch with 3 different product people during our onboarding journey. So I mean, this was amazing. This was really amazing. Full kudos to the Leapsome team here. I at least haven't experienced that level of speed and customer support in while implementing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Kudos to the product team. I know that they have been really trying to listen to all the customers, especially you're one of our early customers that really, for us, I think the philosophy is how we can design a product, as you said, that will be loved by the user is we have to listen to you, right? So I'm glad to hear that you actually also brought up that there were a few bugs. I think it's not realistic to expect any product to have 0 bugs, but at the same time, how quick it got resolved and the high support from the product team. I love that you mentioned about the Google Calendar link as well. And I know, taking all this feedback, not just from you, but also some other customer, we now also can integrate with the Google Calendar. So it automatically showing up. I personally love that feature. I also was like waiting it to be done. So yeah, again, happy to hear that you also proactively share the feedback to the product team, because that's the only way how we can learn and improve the product. Yeah. And maybe bring us a bit to the case of this migration. We also have actually quite some customers move from, in your case as well, Personio to Leapsome. So how's your experience with that? Were there any hiccups? How was the migration for you?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you mentioned. To expect zero hiccups is unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
What was so maybe I call out specific things here. So first of all, it was overall on time, smooth, without any major roadblocks. So that's all good. There were a couple of instances where we had to, let's say, manually intervene. So for example, when we had to take all the absences from the old tool to the new tool, somehow the format that the old tool spit out was not compatible with the way the new tool Leapsome worked.
Mm-hmm.
So it became a little bit of a manual process in the sense that we had to, yeah, to go into a little bit of technicality, we had to open the CSV and check if everything is there properly. But again, once that was done, uploading it was a simple button click. Or we also had an issue where we didn't want to lose the data we had on former employees, so colleagues who had left our company but already in the past. We wanted to somehow retain some basic information, especially when it has not been so long ago that they left for legal reasons. So in that case, we also had to manually intervene and make sure that they are correctly set to inactive in the new tool with the right dates, etc. So obviously, we had to do some manual interventions, but yeah, I mean, overall, quite smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure like this kind of points that you mentioned, also the onboarding team being aware of it and having it kind of almost like a checklist in the onboarding plan to make sure, different customers moving from different platforms, they might have different things to pay attention to. So again, learning along the process, I'm sure their list has been expanding. So yeah, thank you again for sharing this as well. I mean, real challenges we would like to talk about today. And thinking also of the case, I remember before this, we briefly chatted, Sid, around this as well. You had experience not just this time deploying a new tool, so to say. So you also had experience before. What would you say for the audience, kind of as a tip, when you have to change a tool, migrate data and implement a new tools? Any good tips for, in the audience, maybe they are also going through this process or thinking about go through this process?
Oh, that's a tough question. Let me try. So I think what I can say is because it is we're talking about, let's say, HR related topics, it needs a little bit of sensitive care because it can or cannot affect the culture in the company. Even unexpectedly small things can affect culture, so it needs a little bit of additional care. So I think it's important that, as with any change, there is a clear cutoff date, that the team knows, hey, okay, from this day to this day, we switch to the new tool, and this is communicated in advance. And then obviously the classic change management stuff that you have, hey, what is the before situation, what is the new situation, and you communicate this with the team. So having a clear date is the main thing, I would say, and this also helps drive the implementation towards a target. So that's good. Then I think where, let's say in hindsight, what I can say is having a clean data in the old system is key because, yeah, the little bugs that I mentioned, if our data was clean, we would have spent probably much less time on it. It's just that we had to then look at messy data, have it in a clean version, because when you go into a new tool, you don't want to start with, yeah, not nice data from day one. So having a clean old data to migrate into the new tool, that would be my second tip. And yeah, and I mean, as with any change, drive urgency, make it as quick, as short as possible, that everyone starts living in, let's say, the new world as soon as possible, because that's always for the better. Yeah.
Yeah, not to drag them too long, right? Yeah, I love all these tips. Really good also from, in general, change management perspective, not necessarily changing HRIS. So again, for the audience, have a good or clear cutoff date. So you know when your project's going to be done. It's a good target as well, I think. Have clean data in the old system. That's also a very good tip. And then last but not least, I totally agree, to really do it as quick as possible instead of dragging it for too long. So very good tips. Thank you, Sid. And how about, let's move to more like now. I think, as far as I remember, you're using Leapsome HRIS for a bit more than 6 months already, right? So
Yes.
Yeah. So are you using all the HRIS features that are available on HRIS? So let's say from using the workflow, absence management you already mentioned, payroll preparations and all this, are you using everything, document management?
Yeah, I mean, mostly yes. I mean, I think one of the reasons we use this chance, for example, we use all these changes that we are doing to also clean up our payroll processes. So with the Leapsome integration implementation now, we have a much smoother payroll implementation as well, where we use Leapsome end to end for it. And then, of course, apart from payroll, we are fully, yeah, all the HRIS data lives in Leapsome. We are using the absence management. I think what's next for us is reviews, which was the original reason to start looking at a new tool. Yeah, now that we are a bit stable, I think that's the next project for us, and we hope to go live in the next few weeks with it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. It's also now that people are using it more on a day-to-day, and I think introducing the review would also comes more natural for the team. Maybe a bit zoom into the payroll part, because I've heard quite some questions usually from prospects or customers as well. When you say, using Leapsome payroll to kind of clean up the process, maybe just zoom in a little bit. What would that mean? So you prepare the payroll on Leapsome, but then you hand it over to someone, or how does it work for your organization?
Yeah, sure. Happy to go into detail. I mean, looking at finance topics, so this is my domain now. Yeah, so how it works and how we have set up the process is we need to uh, prepare all the numbers internally, and then we hand off to our payroll experts, which in our case is our tax consultants, which is very common in Germany, that the tax consultant is doing your payroll. So we hand it off to them to do, let's say, the legal side of things, where you need to make sure all the right configurations are in for health insurances, the social security stuff. So taking a step back, what we do is we have all the data, so payroll related data, living in Leapsome. And I say living because when we have, I don't know, for example, a salary adjustment, then we ask the managers to go in there and update the salary. So it's a living number. All the salary related numbers are living in Leapsome. Then we have predefined dates of a month also in Leapsome, where payroll gets triggered. And then uh, so I, along with my team, we process the numbers. We discuss with the managers if there is a bonus. For example, if there's a bonus to be paid out, we discuss with the managers if the numbers are correct. And we finalize the payroll. Now, Leapsome, I know, has a very nice feature of integrating with Dativ, which is a German tool for processing payroll. And we asked our tax consultants, what do you prefer? Do you want to go down the Dativ route, or do you want us to do it some other way? And they were pretty flexible. They said, hey, whatever works for you. And we realized, okay, we can prepare everything in Leapsome. We can lock the data and then export it as a Excel, which comes in a very nice format already. And then we send this Excel to our tax consultant, who processes it, uses their tool to do all the legal stuff, and then sends us back the pay slips, and the XML file to do the transfers, etc. And what we do is we use Leapsome's bulk upload feature, upload all the pay slips, which is then available to all the employees on Leapsome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, awesome. I think that's really very transparent. And maybe just one side note for if any North American folks in the session. You know, Sid mentioned about Dativ, a payroll integration that we have for Germany. For the US or North America, we are also developing an ADP Workforce Now payroll integration. So we're also looking forward to that would work very soon. But you know, even just having all the data prepared, having it from the single source of truth, and then, you know, with all these absent calculated in, just pass it on to your accountants. That sounds like a very quick and clean solution for your organization right now. Awesome. And also thinking about, you know, you've done a lot of like great work implementing the tool, you know, rolling out to the teams and so on. What would you say are the biggest improvement organizational wise that you've noticed after implementing Leapsome HRIS?
I mean, the first one was the ease of onboarding. I think we spent a 30-minute call with the entire company, and that's it. And I think I maybe received 5 more questions after it in the next month, and that was really it in terms of onboarding. So, I mean, 30 minutes to introduce a new tool and everyone gets it. Yeah, that's as intuitive as it gets, I feel. I mean, for us, as I mentioned, we are in this stage of growing and starting to scale. So we do have limited resources to devote to topics of maintaining the HR data, etc. We rather rely on the employees themselves or the managers to make sure everything is running smoothly. So I think the key takeaway was we cut down the time we spend on HR related tasks. Now, it's hard for me to say how much we spent in the past, but I would say it's easily down to 50%, maybe about 4 to 5 hours a month, including payroll, something like this. So it's a big time savings for us, which then also speaks to why we went with the tool, right? So I don't know, maybe some of the viewers are interested in how the approval process worked. So all these little things go into the discussion of whether changing to the tool works. And in our case, it really gave us the return on investment, so to speak. And then looking forward with the reviews, we always had in mind to go with a low touch process where we can hand it off to the managers as much as possible. And that is exactly what we are planning right now. We start with something and then we hand it off to the managers and we take it from there. We can iterate from there. We can take it ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear that, like this excitement around rolling out the review as well. So would you say that's the thing that you're most excited about, looking into the next few months with Leapsome, or anything else that comes to your mind?
Looking ahead, yes, of course. I mean, reviews is the exciting part. We want to move away from managers doing their individual process and having a little bit more standardization to the process, to the workflow. So that's the reason we do this. Um, Driving people to use the platform daily. I mean, we like to think we have a super open and nice feedback culture in the company, but obviously the feedback doesn't get captured everywhere. So it would be nice if the feedback is then living somewhere, to refer to maybe in a few months' time or so. But most importantly, empower the managers, because they in the end are the organization. I mean, organization as good as the people in it, right? So we have to empower them to drive the team forward. And of course, the plan right now is we start with something basic, some really standard questions that helps the manager. And once we have done the first round, we get feedback from the managers. How did the process go? And then iterate from there. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I also love your approach of very much of a partnership, that you're co-designing, iterating with your managers, instead of a very top-down standardized approach. I'm sure in this way, then the buy-in from the whole organization is also like way higher. When speaking of buy-in, I think, again, I said at the beginning, we would definitely like to leverage your special expertise and experience in, working in finance, ops. I know a lot of HR folks in the call as well. No matter if they're considering a new HRIS or any tools in general that they want to purchase, what would be your personal tips that you would like to share with the group when it comes to how can they get the buy-in from, finance, ops perspective, because they always need to get approval from you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let me try, because every organization is a little bit different, as you know. I think what's most important is starting with a clear why. It's very easy to say, okay, we want to try something new, but having a clear reason, hey, this is reason number one. Maybe we want to do something new, which is nicer in a new tool, a very subjective reason. Or reason number two, look at how much we are spending right now. We would grow in the next, I take an example, in the next 1 year by 1.5x. How much would be spending? How much would we be spending then? And then looking at how much does the new tool? How much is the investment on the new tool? So doing a little bit more forward-looking economics on it, and then obviously matching the tool to your company size. Looking at the fit. So what do you want to achieve? I think again goes back to the why, but what do you want to achieve, and does the main competency of the tool helps you achieve that? And I think this is very quickly visible if you have the why clearly in your head or on a Notion document, doesn't matter. And then of course what worked in our favor here is we have a very nice partnership with the Leapsome team, in terms of we give feedback and we see changes in the tool, we see the improvement. So this is really nice for us, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the tips. I think the ROI definitely is always the case, but you make it more concrete for people to work around it. And yeah, I'm sure. Thank you again, Sid, for taking the time today and sharing your journey and also your personal tips. I'm sure some of the audience might also want to connect with you to learn even more, get even more tips from your perspective.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me, and hope I could share a little bit of our journey. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.